Welcome back, you guys. This is the Art School Graduate, and today my guest wears many hats. Let's start from the top. She is a design program manager at Adobe. Crazy, right? Love to hear that. Inclusive design advocate, AI explorer, and a community builder. Her mantra is, "Where you start isn't where you'll end up." And her story proves exactly that. My guest today is Bria Alexander. Bria, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing so great. Happy Friday. Happy whatever
Yes.
day it is that you're listening to this. And I'm just super excited to be here and participate in this community.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's start like at the beginning. Um, your that mantra we just spoke of, that powerful mantra of yours, where you start isn't where you're take us back to where that began. Like, how did you establish such a strong, powerful saying to like push you through life?
Gosh, I think it's been like a testament of pretty much every chapter of my life. When I think about my
Mhm,
professional life lately, yeah,
mhm,
where you start is definitely not where I am now. I started at Adobe 9 years ago and I
mhm,
had like a different career, really. I was working in what's called sales enablement, which is basically training the sales force at Adobe to learn how to sell the products. And it was fun. And I was attracted to it because of the competitive nature of sales. You've got a
mhm,
quota, you've got quarters, you got to hit your number, you got to go higher, higher, higher. The sky's the limit. But I
mhm,
personally found that to be a little bit exhausting. Like I can join a tennis club if I want super hyper competitiveness in my life. I don't have to necessarily have it at work. I learned that about
mhm,
myself. And now I'm in a completely different space that aligns a lot
yeah.
closer with my heart's desires. I'm just a person that has always been interested and attracted to brand design and really just design in general. I worked at Adobe, obviously was attracted because of their very famous products, Photoshop,
Yeah.
Illustrator,
Yeah.
Document Cloud. And I'm really proud that I get to work alongside, you know, world-class practitioners in something that I was always kind of sort of interested in, but didn't know how
Mhm,
to allow it to manifest in my professional life. So yeah,
mhm.
that's just one example. I can tell you about growing up. I can tell you about sports all the time, but I gotta say, if you stay persistent and resilient, you will be shocked at the
Mm.
results that you may find even months later.
So, do you come from a design background?
I would not call it that. My undergraduate degree was at Howard. I got a degree at Howard University in Washington, D.C. That is.
Mm,
I got a degree in international business and finance. So for the
mm,
Howard people, the School of Business. And if you ever go to any type of business school, the creativity and arts is not really part of the gig. It's accounting, it's marketing, it's supply
mm,
chain management. It doesn't really have anything to do with like creativity and creatives.
mhm,
But I've been a creative as long as I can remember. I did piano growing up and then I switched to drums. I played
mhm.
drums for a number of years. I was in the Howard University Jazz Ensemble for a number of years, in addition to my degree. And all
Dope.
in all, just creativity has been a through line in my heart and part of who I am my whole life. But as I
Mm,
approached the end of my college career and I had to make some choices about how I want to make a living, I
mm,
felt like I
mm,
was really conflicted about what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, where I wanted to go. And
mhm.
I'm, again, where you start is not where you end up because that space of confusion has reconciled really beautifully for me in my career so far.
So, what were some of the biggest mindset shifts or lessons that came along with this pivot from teaching to now you're like fully engrossed in like the AI and the other parts of Adobe? So, what was that mindset change for you?
I think it was just really addressing my scarcity mindset when it comes to our careers. Like so
Mm,
many of us, I'm speaking for myself, like when I got really any job, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm working. This is the best it can get, and
yeah.
anything I can ask for more is totally I'm working at this great big company. Oh my god,
Mhm,
anything more that you can ask for is just totally out of the question." I had to really challenge that scarcity mindset for myself and honor how I was actually feeling. When I transitioned to like brand and design, I don't know what was going to happen. I just had always
mhm.
had like a spark of an interest and I
Yeah.
was just hoping for the best. I in that motion, in that movement, it's really worked out well for me. And so
Mhm,
what I can advise other people or just anyone that's interested in ways they can shape their own career path
mhm,
is really address how you actually feel. Like that spark that you have within your spirit, even if it's small, even if it's inconsequential, if you're interested, you are allowed seems like an interesting word to say it, but you're
mhm,
allowed to pursue it. To your point about what I do now, which is around generative AI and like
mhm.
AI and stuff. I mean, AI wasn't like what I woke up in the morning thinking about my whole life. And that was about my personal story. I was just interested in it. And so I pursued it. And now I
Mm,
work in it, which is, I guess, a position of extreme privilege, but just speaks to the fact that maybe you've got more to offer than you think. At least that's been
mhm.
true.
Why do you feel some people just feel like they have to ask permission instead of just doing it? Why do you think that happens for some people?
it's because a lot of the messages we receive are, girl,
Mhm.
you are doing great. Please. Like, it just feels like
Yeah.
you've been given so much. Why would you ask for more?
Mhm.
And I think part of it is a personality thing for me. But my personal feeling has always been, I've worked so hard. I've worked hard in
Mhm.
school. I worked hard outside of school. I'm getting everything I came to get. This is why I
Mhm.
stayed up late nights. This is why I took all the extracurriculars. This is why I
Mhm.
took on extra debt. It's because I came to live the life I want to live. That includes pursuing a career and making a living in the way that I want to make a living. So
Mhm.
I don't know why people make the choices that they make. I will say that everyone's got great reasons for why they do what they do. But for
Mhm.
me personally, my journey has been, I want to live the life I want to live. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I can have it. And I'm going to use every advantage I possibly have to make sure I can get it.
Yeah. I think you said it perfectly right there. It's just for the life you want to live, you're going to have to make those sacrifices and changes so you can get to where you want to be. Like,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think the end all be all is that one good job. Like, hey, I made it. I have a job. I'm an adult. It's like,
For some people, that's the case. Like, I've just
yeah.
Beyonce show. Beyonce seems to have really, she has a job. Okay. That seems to be enough
Yes.
for her.
Yeah, no, that's very true. So let's talk about this stint you had in brand and entertainment marketing. How did those early creative sparks like influence the way you approach like design operations now?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's start from the beginning. Like, most incredible people. And what he's
Mhm.
referring to is I had an internship at the agency CAA the summer before my senior year of college. And I just met the most interesting and incredible people. Like, entertainment doesn't pay particularly well in the beginning, but
It does not.
honestly, what they used to tell me all the time, it's like getting an MBA, which you do pay to get an MBA, and the CA does like pay you
Mhm.
to be there. So like they think of it as like getting your MBA in entertainment marketing, and it really was like that. I only got to spend a summer there, but the in relationships I built that summer have sustained me through, I guess, my career thus far, and how it shaped like my approach to design operations today. I would say the first thing I learned at CAA, and the most important thing, is that no matter what you do, you work in a people business. I did sales. That's also a people business. I do design operations. That is certainly a people business. Like, yes, on the surface, it's about measuring projects and productivity and clarifying goals. But in reality, we all work in a people business. We work
Yeah.
outside people who have their needs and want their needs met, whether you are a designer trying to be innovative but struggle to work on a timeline, or you're a senior executive who needs something now and do not have the time to do the rigorous
Yeah.
process-based testing that
Mhm.
a lot of really high quality design organizations like to champion. So to answer that, everything we do, we work in a people business. We have to work around personalities and people, and keeping that front and center for me has been really core to my approach. And thus far, again, it's been working very well for me so far.
That's good. Hey, hats off to you. Like we were talking before, I shared with her that I came across her page and her information through the Adobe Max website, and she was a speaker at Adobe Max last year. So could you share with us how that speaking or just speaking at Adobe at these large conferences where there's hundreds of thousands of people, how is that working for you? How does that feel for you to be in that space where it's like now you go from behind the scenes to now you're in the forefront? How does that feel?
You know, it's always been very natural for me. I can't even front. Like, when I was really young, I have a brother. Me and my brother, my mother used to put us in like these speaking situations because she always felt like if we didn't learn how to speak in front of people when we were super duper young, we would never be comfortable speaking in front of others. And I think that's very true for some people, which is why like from like 3, like at the church
Mm,
sometimes, or
yeah.
at the Black Baccalaureate, where Jack and Jill is, whether it was a Jack and Jill event, like no matter what it was, my mom always, Thanksgiving was another one. She's like,
Yeah.
okay, go to the piano, play the piano for everybody. Go speak in front of everyone else. Okay, you have your Christmas speech. Go to your Christmas trees. Did you learn Dr. King's? I have it. You go show us what that's like. So me and my brother both were always very comfortable speaking in front of others. It just kind of came very naturally for me. Like, someone asked
Mm,
me to host a smaller event within Adobe internally. They said, that was great. You're going to be doing that from now on. And I got called for doing hosting for Rosenfeld, which turned into me being the lead curator for their conferences ever
wow.
since 2020.
Amazing.
So it just kind of very naturally came. It wasn't anything that I had a huge focus on. It's something
Mm,
that I kind of fell into, and been very fortunate to have just people continue to give me opportunities to do what I do until it
mhm.
culminated into this big Adobe Max and
Yeah.
people and huge. It just kind of happened. It wasn't really on purpose. It's something
Okay.
I've always done. It's been in my back pocket for my whole life, and people
Mhm.
seem to have really resonated with it. And it feels good. It feels natural to me.
That's dope, man. Because some people, I just know seeing the stage, I'm like, "Mm, I talk to 35 kids a day. You got to talk to 100,000 adults." I was like, that has to be crazy. But hey, that's an amazing accomplishment for you right there. So let's talk about the day to day at Adobe. What
Yeah.
does a design program manager actually do? Like, especially at the scale of Adobe. Adobe isn't this mom and pop shop. It is literally the brain of design. It is like so many arms and tentacles and veins reaching out and doing so much. So what does a program manager do?
Well, the first thing we do is when you say it like that, it makes Adobe sound very intimidating. Like, oh my God, it's the whole company. And you're right, the company is huge. I think you got like 21 to 25, maybe 30,000 employees. Somebody fact check
Wow.
that. I don't know, but it's a huge company. But what I first and foremost do is focus on what I can control. It is not my
Mhm.
responsibility to control everything that everyone is doing. My specific responsibility lies in managing the emerging design, machine intelligence design teams, right? And focusing on their needs first and foremost above all the other things that the needs of the business might need. I am their number one advocate. I am the person that ensures they understand what's happening, like not only external to our team, but internal with our team. I keep the
Mhm.
schedule. I manage all the projects. And really, I just try to act as a thought partner to all of the designers that I support and the design managers that I support. So they have another perspective as we approach the work, especially because I'm
Mm.
so keyed into all these other communities outside of Adobe, outside of Adobe, but outside of our team specifically, I
Yeah.
find that it's like a being able to have some additional perspectives when we approach the work, which at times is just so nebulous, especially these days. There's so much anxiety, anticipation on what AI is going to do, how we're going to use it, how we're going to harness it in ways that are ethical and responsible and honors Adobe's spirit and mission. It's a lot, and it's helpful to have
Mhm.
as many perspectives as possible as we try to figure out how to handle it all.
Mm. So, what does support look like for, say, a designer or a team that's working on something that's about to drop? Like, do you step in as a soundboard or do you step in to be like, okay, you guys, let's take a break, let's take a time out, let's recharge? Like, what does that support look like for those people?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a little bit of both. Sometimes it's stepping in and say, "Hey, did we think about that?" And sometimes it's like, "Listen, there's nothing we can do about that. Let's sort of circle around and follow up tomorrow or next week." It really runs the gamut. And again, it goes back to what I said about me working in a people business. A people business
Mhm.
to me means that we make sure that people can work in their best environments. Meaning, if you are burnt out, if you are incredibly exhausted, if we have talked about the same issue for 6 days, 5 days, business days in a row,
Yeah.
it's best that we table it and circle back in a week. It's just
Mhm.
measuring to see what people's boundaries are, what people's bandwidth is, and ensuring that they have what they need to bring their best selves to their jobs.
Mm.
And that looks a lot of different ways to a lot of different people. So it's my job to kind of keep my finger on the pulse on that and try to work accordingly alongside it based on what I'm seeing at the time.
Yeah. So I'm curious about this. In the middle of like all this complexity, I mean, your day's full. You deliver constant brand experiences across mobile devices, desktop, iPads, now the Vision Pro. Like throughout all that chaos, how do you maintain a healthy balance of structure, timelines, and creativity?
How do I do it personally? I just make sure that I am very well taken care of. Like, I go on vacations. I step
Mhm.
away from my work where it's appropriate. I work alongside a team that honors my boundaries when I have them. And I just do what I need to do to make sure that my stamina can be sustained. Because,
Mm.
like, as beautiful of a picture I'm painting, this is at times an exhausting job. We have very
Mhm.
ambitious business goals. We are living in a very, what's a good word to say it? A nebulous climate.
Mhm.
That's a nice way to put it. We live in a very nebulous time where a lot of businesses are struggling to continue
Mhm.
to do what they've done in the past.
Yeah.
So I just try to make sure that I have what I need to make sure that I can do what I do to the best of my ability. And at times that means take breaks, and other times that means maybe taking a personal day to handle whatever I got to handle at the time, so it's not hanging over my head or bothering me. And I'm really fortunate that Adobe Design honors that and allows me to work in that way. And I'm part of the reason I've been here for so long. It's going on 9 years.
Amazing to hear. How do you know when to turn it off? Is there something in your past that was like, hey, this is going to help you structure your life? Or is it something you've learned through working in these kind of fast-paced environments?
I think it's a little bit of both. A couple years ago, I had like a medical situation that really put into perspective, at least for me, like, listen, it's not worth it if you're not well. I think that was it for me. Like, again, to my earlier attitude, like of scarcity mindset, for a long time, I was just really happy to have a job, and I gave it everything I had, even if it took more than I had to give. Medical scares like that really have a way of like reevaluating your priorities and helping you understand like who you are, why you're here, what you want, and what your boundaries are. So for me, it had to be that. For those of you listening, don't let that be you. Like, just try to trust me on this one. Like, I love my job. I love what I do. I love my work, but it's not worth it if it doesn't work for me. And so my career in the last at least 5 years has been me really working to make sure that my job works for me.
I think a lot of people find that difficult because they feel like their job at times defines them. Like, if I'm not there, they're gonna get rid of me, or if I'm not there, it's over. And I feel like people just need to it's called PTO for a reason. It's personal time off. Take it.
Yeah,
Go
I totally
go
understand.
outside.
Yeah, I think some people, I mean, and I was one of those people, like, I took PTO, but I had a leader at the time that just did not like, if I took more PTO than they felt comfortable taking, it was not something that it was not something that I was smiled upon to do. So I totally understand where people come from, but I go back to what I say about it's got to be better, or I don't even know if I said it, but that's what I meant. Like, you got to find better than that. I know for me, I felt like I was not in a situation that I was really loving. So I thought I had everything I could possibly have in this. I took a step back. I really honored how I was feeling, and I pushed for something bigger and better for myself. And it has turned out great. And I'm so grateful too, because I remind myself every single day of the days when I was just in just a significantly less flexible and happy position in my career. It did not have to happen this way. And I'm so grateful that it did. And it was a really harrowing journey, but oh my God, like I could
That's
not have
good.
imagined where I am in
Yeah.
my career, in my life. Like, it turned out so differently than I planned, but way better. So let that be a test to you. Like, if you are feeling that my words are really pulling on your heartstrings, like, it was hard, it was difficult, it required a lot of reflection, but oh my God, the results.
Yes. Yes. So let's talk about leadership for a moment. You spoke earlier about how you lead these other teams. You step into these spaces with so many different hats. You take off one hat because you're walking into another room, you're putting that hat on. So you once said your leadership superpowers is patience, kindness, and asking questions. Can you share a moment when you learned, like, okay, these three things I need to add to my repertoire so I can be better for who I'm working with?
I don't think it was like any single moment, like patience, curiosity, whatever the third thing I had said. Those are all things that like I carry with me as part of my spirit. Like, I'm so fortunate again that I can bring pretty much exactly who I am outside of work to my job. Like, I like to think that I don't even have to say, I know I'm a very curious person at times to a fault. I am. I try to be kind. Patience is something that I continue to try and like really work on within myself and exude out to others. So I don't think it was any one moment, but I feel like those are kind of some of the best parts of who I am in my personal community, and why shouldn't my job benefit from that if it makes me better at my job. So it wasn't one single moment. It's just my approach that through lines from my personal life and into my professional life that I feel like can only make the workplace a little bit better. I mean, we all need a little bit more patience and kindness when we're like driving towards these OKRs, and our design
Yes.
that too. Again, we work in a creative business, and a lot of creative people work from like the warm, gushy parts of their hearts, not the super tactical, super sharp parts, you know? So while I am like, I encourage innovation, but I have to kind of keep people on a schedule. I also want to make sure it's a balance in the ways that speed people's creative spirit. We work in a industry after all, and that comes from a personal, at times, soft, comfortable place. So let's try our best to make people feel all those things while at work. It's always the goal. That's what I strive for.
Yeah. You mentioned, I think a little bit earlier, you spoke on how you step in and you want to provide clarity. Like,
Yeah.
what are some practical ways you bring clarity into a room when things feel, ambiguous or just very chaotic and unclear?
I tend to write things down. And I encourage other people to also write things down. Like, again, going back to just working with creatives, like people are innovative and creative and they're moving really fast and they're thinking big thoughts, but like tracking that tends to be like a little bit challenging for some folks. And that's where I come in. I'm like, hey, you want to write that down? You want to update table? You want to put that in Jira? You want to great idea. Love him. Let's talk about start dates and end dates. Let's talk about briefs. Let's put a Figma file in there. Like just the whole nine is
Yeah.
kind of where I step in. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Because I was just curious because it just seems like to be a well-rounded leader that you are and that you're becoming, it seems like you're hitting all these key points of like listening, talking, hearing. But it also seems like in your life and your work life, you are very clear on where it's like work day, personal day. Like have these very clear timelines, but it's just like, I wondered if you ever ran into any of these like issues where it's like you go from one high performing space to another. And like, how do you balance that clarity of like, okay, let's slow it down. Let's figure out what we need. What's the order of importance and things like that. That's what I was curious about. Cause it seems like you move in a lot of different rooms. So that's what I was wondering.
Oh, that's a great, okay. So with that in mind, honestly, I feel like I've been working in this like, hyper like context switching space for so long. Like even when I was in high school, like I would go from like we talked about this earlier, but like I'd go from band to like sports to like baking classes. So it's such an interesting point because I feel like I've been operating in this highly context switching space for so long. I don't even think about it in my adult life, but challenges tend to be a lot more dramatic than childhood challenges. So I would say in my adult life, like I don't know, man. I just try to make sure that my job works really well for me. I try to make sure that no part of my life is completely exploding at the same time. Been able to kind of move things around, whether at work or sometimes my personal life, to be able to make sure they both have the space that they need. Like, yeah, a lot of that is the gig.
I must say, I really do appreciate how you adapt to like all these different things because it feel like if you ever want to become a teacher, you would be great at it because your communication style is like it works for the needs of like individuals and teens. So, I mean, not teens, but teens. Yeah, it'll work both ways. So, yeah. So how do you stay tuned in with these different working styles and personalities, especially in such a fast-paced environment like Adobe? Because it's like I said, you walk into different doors and you might have someone that car didn't start that day. Someone's coming in off of getting flowers. So it's just like, how do you deal with these different working styles? Like, how do you stay in tune?
I think for me, it's two. It's one, just really centering myself in deep empathy. And it's exhausting and draining sometimes, but I think it's the only way to really fully see a person. And it's also the way that I hope people see me when I don't show up 100% the way I anticipated every day. Like I want to be perceived with deep empathy and with like the best possible outcome in mind. So I try to do that for others. That's one. And the second one is I just have a lot of different kinds of people in my life, a lot of very different pockets of my life. Like even now I recently moved to Georgia. I'm from the Bay Area, very different place culturally, very different vibe, very different, just very different people, wonderful people, kind people, but different from each other in very nuanced ways. And just really putting myself in positions where I'm around people that aren't exactly like me allows me to go to communities and bring that spirit to other places. So I've got friends that are teachers. I've got friends that are lawyers. I've got friends that are volunteers and really fighting social justice causes. I've got really interesting people, really interesting friendships, really interesting family members in my life whose lives I continue to learn from and remind me just how different people's lived realities are outside of the one that I am. There's a billion different things going on in this world. We are all living completely different lives. Even though we share common values, but it is shocking how different those common values are being lived out in people's lives.
You touched on something that you said you have friends that are working in like social justice and inclusive spaces. So let's pivot into something you speak about with a real passion, which is inclusive design. Like, how do you define inclusive design in your own words?
Great question. And it's changed like you know, it's changed because it's scarier, to be honest, these days, if I'm being honest with myself. But for me, inclusive design, let's think of it from like the I work at Adobe perspective. Inclusive design means that any customer, from no matter where they come from, economic background, whatever, can use the products to the fullest extent of their ability, like not regardless of race, regardless of gender, regardless of sexual orientation, obviously, like regardless of who you are, where you come from, you're able to use the products the same way anyone else should. Like that to me is what designing an inclusive product includes. And there are other people that I look up to in this space that would probably give you a better answer. Timothy Bard-Lavens being one of them, who works as our director of product equity here at Adobe. But for me personally, that kind of sums up the most of it. You should be able to use the products whoever you are, and you should be able to use it to the benefit of what you're trying to do, regardless of who you are, where you come from.
Now, is this something, I'm just curious. Now, is this something Adobe has been working on, or was it something when you showed up, you felt, hey, we need to speak to this?
I could definitely say that I helped push the ball along, but Adobe has always been focused on ensuring that we have inclusive experiences, inclusive products, inclusive everything. And really, it's because we love all of our customers. We want all of our customers to be at home in our products, which so many people really live their lives in Photoshop, live their lives in Illustrator. And regardless of who you are, where you come from, we want to make sure that we are being as attuned as possible to whatever challenges you may be facing within the product. So I would say that's always been the goal as long as Adobe's been a business. But as we all were around 2020, like pretty much 2020 onward, I think a lot of us learned that there are things that we might not be as attuned to as we could. Adobe was part of that that motion, I think, just as every other at the time it fell, every other company was kind of opening their eyes to.
Yeah. So let's talk about these small but like very powerful changes that you've made pushes for, like shifting the language of of master icon sheet to primary icon sheet. Why do these like seemingly small choices matter in creating a more welcoming design experience?
I believe that like inclusive experiences start like they're a reflection of what's happening inside of your heart into the world. And the same thing with the company. It's a reflection of how we're operating and working together. You'll see that reflected in big ways and small outside of the company. So for me, like it comes from within, and there isn't, like, to my earlier point, like, I don't know why people make their choices. I also don't know why people or how people are going to interact with the Adobe brand. And I just know that to be as thorough as possible, it's best to start from within and go external. So that's the way that I have always tried to do it. And thus far, it's been working great for me. Yeah.
So how do you work on uplifting those voices when you're in this space and you're not, how can I say this? How do you work on uplifting those communities that you may not be a part of without overstepping or speaking for them?
Yeah. I think for me, I offer opportunities. Like I'm in a position now in my professional and personal life where I can offer opportunities for people's voices to be amplified, offer opportunities for people to check out whatever social presence they may have, and just offer opportunities that come to me towards communities that may be able to speak to whatever the cause is better than I can. So just being open, honoring that I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers, but I might probably know someone that is at least closer to having the right answer.
Right.
So just giving opportunities I have to very worthy people in my life who would be able to answer them better than I can. Even though at times I may be passionate about the subject, I feel like at times there's more than enough of me to go around, like pass it on to the next person who probably would also benefit from that opportunity to speak or have their voices heard.
Man, that sounds brilliant. So Adobe, your next VP president right here, hire her, take it. That sounds brilliant. And I feel like more people should lean into that. Exactly. Just opening doors. Don't be a gatekeeper. If you know that this person can benefit from something, just share it with them, give it to them, pass the email on. Don't just let it die in your inbox. Cause I feel a lot of people just kind of just forget they were once in that position. They were once that person reaching out. They were once that person that was sending just an email to someone hoping to get a reply. And it's like, sometimes if you just show that little bit, you don't know how much you'll get on the back end. But yeah, I think that's
like, I just remember how much these even speaking opportunities meant to me when I was just, early in my career. And now that I'm like less early in my career, like pass it along. I'm often busy. Someone else could do it. They do a great job. Why not?
Yeah. So, for someone who wants to start designing more inclusively, what is one simple action they could take to get started?
I would say listen to a podcast, a YouTube video, whatever from a community that you're not a part of. For me, I listen to a lot of lately it's been Punjabi music, like Hindi music. Like I'm not a part of that community, but I'm kind of interested in what they have to say. I'm interested in the music. I'm interested in what the vibes are. And I want to encourage people to do the same. Like just finding
Mhm.
communities that you're not in and trying to understand where people come from to the point where you're comfortable. Again, we're living in a very polarized time in the world. So
Mm,
don't do anything you're not
definitely.
comfortable doing. But I would say, again, I'm curious at times to a fault. I've always just been curious about what the vibes are. What are people thinking? Why do they feel so strongly? Why is it this way? And so that spirit has carried me through a lot of interesting experiences. And I would say the same. I feel like more people could benefit from it. Like,
Mm,
check something out. Listen to
yeah.
a Bollywood movie or a Nollywood movie or
Yeah.
something outside of your usual comfort zone that you would automatically go to.
Yeah. My new little vice is my wife is Middle Eastern. I've
Oh,
been tapping into their music. It's kind of fire.
it is
Don't
fire. Like,
don't understand a lick of what they saying. But girl, that'll put you in a vibe in a hot second.
oh my god, it's the same thing for K-pop music. I've been listening to the K-pop music. I'm like, look at them. They're going
Yes.
for it. Yeah.
Yes, it's a vibe. So let's take a step into this AI space. You seem very excited about it. What excites you the most about the potential of AI in design and team collaborations?
I think for me, it's a lot of people who would never have thought to design was for them are going to very easily be able to upskill themselves to a point
Mhm,
where they could probably take on a full-time job in design if that is what they want. I know
mhm,
for me, again, I'd always been interested in design, but Howard has a great graphic design program that was
mhm,
just really not a part of what I was emotionally prepared to do at the time. I did not understand or really know that this job that I'm currently in existed. So my big
mhm,
focus going through school was just to be able to be employed when I finished. And I did not have enough understanding of graphic design and creative careers to know that where I am is possible. And
mhm,
so I did not pursue it. But if I were in school and if I had the time and I had a ChatGPT subscription or whatever, I would probably be able to learn all sorts of stuff that I was always
mhm,
interested in, but just never had the money or the opportunity to learn and learn it quickly to high fidelity. That is the thing that excites me the most.
mhm.
They always say, the world's your oyster. Some rapper said this years ago, but hey, if you have a computer, you could be anything. There's no excuses. But
Yeah.
working through Google is time consuming and hard. Most of my career on the internet has been me opening 7 tabs, comparing and contrasting what works best for me, and then trying to make an educated choice based on the information. And that always isn't quite as good as having a true expert. But
Mhm,
and what agents do, kind of representing yourself as you work through the internet, representing your interests as you work through the internet, spitting out
mhm.
what that search I just described, multiple
Yep.
tabs, and in a succinct way that is fact-based and supported by data, that is going to
Mhm.
exponentially increase
Yeah.
productivity, increase people's ability to learn new skills, and increase people's accessibility, access rather,
Mhm,
things that they probably didn't even imagine they could have. At least that's been my experience with ChatGPT, even in the whatever 2-3
mhm.
years it's been kind of more and more popular. It's a game changer the same way the
Yeah.
game net was a game changer, in my opinion. Bria's thoughts for my own. It's a game changer the same way the internet was a
Mm.
game changer in the early 2000s, and now our task is to figure out the most responsible way to harness this power for everybody.
Yeah. I was gonna say you sound like a designer. 7 tabs open, 2 different screens and monitors flowing. That's
Yes.
most designers right there because they're like, oh, I don't want to forget what's on there. Let me go here. Let me do this. Oh, I like this font here. Let me see what's this font here. Okay, I like this one here. So you're
It was a
right in the
really big day.
wheelhouse.
Found out Chrome can group into tabs. That was a big day for me personally.
Yeah,
Very big
that
day.
was mine. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, here I am using all this computer power and I can just group these. Like I could just save my battery life that much more.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about it. You touched on it. I'm not going to make you choose. I don't, I was going to say who's your favorite, Chat or Adobe, but I'm not going to do that to you.
Oh, the
But
answer's do you know where I work? Please. Let's even skip to the end. The answer's Adobe. That's the correct answer.
okay, that was easy. So here we go. Let's talk about this. What's one creative or surprising way AI has made your life and work life easier?
We'll start with my life. For
Uh-huh.
me, I have a whole host of like not a whole host of medical, that sounds like I'm not well, but like there are things in my life that I'm working towards bettering for myself that I just don't have a lot of knowledge of. Like I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not an expert, I'm not a doctor. And I have wonderful, very committed physicians, but at the same time, to make things move the way I want them to move, as quickly as I want them to move, and to pay attention to the metrics as closely as I feel like they should be like paid attention to.
Yeah.
For that, like for me, like I'm really passionate about making sure I get my fiber intake and my protein intake. So I'll write down everything I ate and say, hey, can you give me a guesstimate how much protein I had today? And it'll give me a guesstimate, and then it'll say, well, tomorrow try this, and it'll probably work. And that's worked incredibly well for me, like in my life, like using it for like health to the, we don't really know what they're doing with our data. So, you be cautious, but for me, it's been like a really great, very helpful way to make sure I can manage my own health. Because again, like sometimes I have an Apple Watch and I have and it'll say, hey, your steps have increased or your heart rate is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means. So I asked ChatGPT, like, so what does this mean for me personally? Has been actually like these metrics are actually helpful to me. Like I can actually use whatever my Oura Ring is telling me. I can actually use what my Apple Watch metrics are telling me about my heart rate being this and this particular blah blah blah. So for me, it's to me like the best way to using it to make you better, helpful.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I use it as I've even started to introduce it to my students as a tool, not the final product, but a tool, because it's just like I told them, I was like, sometimes you guys just sit there on the computer hoping something's going to happen. I was like, I had a conversation with this gentleman, James Bernard, and he said the nouns, the verbs, the adjectives, they can come up with things that can give you ideas towards what you're wanting to work towards or what you want to develop. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. So having my students work in that space where it's more of a research rather than final outcome has been very helpful, because you would think this generation that grew up with computers, phones, tablets, they would have some type of intelligence towards, oh, this is AI. I know how to use it. Far from it.
And I get that. Like when ChatGPT came to my world, I'm like, what is it? For me personally, I don't find ChatGPT to be really good at like creative thought. Like, yes, it'll give you ideas, but my ideas are always better than the ideas that ChatGPT comes up with, like literally every single time. So take that with a grain of salt. Like, know that it is a great like thought partner. Like you can kind of bounce ideas off of. But when it comes to like creative thought, it's always been humans. And we'll get better. But honestly, that's consistent. Like, and ChatGPT has gotten better in like the 2 years that it's had its big boom. But it's really consistently not been that good at like thinking more creatively than me and my coworkers. So
well, my thing, the way I have my students, because it's like I'm teaching high school and college students. So a lot of these kids, this is like in high school, it's an elective. So they're not artists or creative. So it gives them a little bit. Like at the college level, most of the kids I get are communication kids. Like they're doing radio, broadcasting, TV, print articles, things like that. So it's like it's taking those very rigid students who are like, okay, so what do I need to write so I can get the answer? And it's like, no, we can't give you the answer. We're going to break it down. So it kind of gives them that little bit that sparks it so that it can take over and become like a more flushed out idea. That's the way I look at it. I'm 100% agree with you that it's not perfect by far when it comes to creativity, but it's just like I use it so that my kids aren't just sitting there staring at a computer screen hoping something comes up.
That's such a smart thing to do. Like, thank you for clarifying, Matt, because you're totally right.
Yeah, you should see it. If I give them a prompt or something, I'm like, okay, we're going to do marketing design. Mister, what's marketing design? Okay, so marketing design is this. Yes. Okay, so what you're going to do is get a random company, a random name. You got to come up with a logo. And they're like, how do I figure that out? Okay, there's steps to it. Okay, here's the steps. So it's like taking them through this quick process for us, because we are in design, and breaking it down so that they can just feel like they have a win. Like, well, okay, yeah, I see that. Okay, yeah, I understand that. So when they get to the final piece, that's pretty much what I used it for, to help them.
That's such a great, it reminded me of like maybe like a month ago, I was like, what is the Library Alexandria? Like I have always heard of it, never really knew about it, read the Wikipedia page. I'm like, this isn't like giving me like the cultural significance of the Library Alexandria. So of course you ask ChatGPT and it breaks it all down, like cultural significance. This is why you're hearing about it a bunch. This is probably somewhere else. And this is why, like really being able to engage on these random ways that like now I totally get it. Like I understand
Yeah.
people refer to it in art and blah blah blah. I understand what it used to be. I understand why it's like this great mystery. Like
Yeah.
your point, just succinctly explaining things that kind of helps your students like where they're at, like meet them where they're at. That's huge. So you're right.
Yeah. See, you can be a teacher. You're almost there. You got it. You're almost there. So let's talk about life outside of Adobe. How do you feel these personal passions, like we were speaking earlier, like you go to your hot yoga, you go to concerts, like how do these personal passions inform the way you show up as a leader to your
again, it allows me to remember that people are people, and it allows me to operate from spaces of deep empathy. Like, yes, people got super fun stuff. I've got super fun stuff going on in my life, but some people have less fun stuff and they still got to show up to work anyway. And just keeping that front and center in my mind has been like key to my approach. And remember that we are full human beings, and whether we like it or not, like I know sometimes I wish my work life was my whole life, but we are multidimensional beings and we got to deal with it all. Some of us have aging parents, some of us have health challenges, some of us have young children they're trying to raise alongside of keeping a career going. Like life is hard. And I one of my good friends, what she said, she's like, don't be afraid to enjoy life when it's good, because life is gonna, like, regardless, it's going to be atrocious at times. So do not be afraid to enjoy it when it's good. That's like where I am right now. I'm trying to enjoy my life while it's good.
Yeah. I've said this many a times. Life will life you. So just when you're in that sweet spot, enjoy it. I totally agree with what your friend said, because life will life you. So here's something interesting. You're an Audible captain. What have you been listening to lately that has sparked your curiosity or shifted your way of thinking in terms of like leadership or creativity?
I just read this book. It wasn't on Audible though. Does it have to be an Audible book?
No. Just in general.
It was called Digital Feudalism, and it's about how like we're all working. Many of us are working in these platforms, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. And it really is like they call it digital feudalism. Like you're working to like, instead of like working on like a field to like cultivate like fruits, like you are working so that you cultivate likes and views and really just investing in these platforms to make them better. And more people come to that platform because of the effort that you're putting in. But really, like the big winners, and it's so deceptive at times because we see so many people that hit 1 million views, 500,000 views, la la la. But it's almost like winning the lottery, because they say if you just keep investing and you post consistently and you wait and you hope and you pray and you shake your head and dance around 3 times, it'll happen for you. But in reality, there are very few, like, and from what I was, there are very, very few winners and losers, and it's almost like winning the lottery at times. Like, yes, if you are consistent for 3 years and you make good, interesting content, you will get better at content and people will come to you. That's true. But the big winners which again, like the Mr. Beasts and like the hyper, like popular artists, that is not like, that's a lottery thing. That's like a time, place, timing, algorithm favoritism type of thing. Anyway, it's a book. I forget the name of the guy. I'll find it and send it so you can share it with your audience. But interesting book, interesting read. And it changed my perspective. Like they always say like, oh, it's so easy. You just got to post your content. But no, it's not. Or else everyone would do it. So
everybody will be a Mr. Beast.
Exactly.
So curious question. How was it sitting on stage with Kevin Hart?
He's lovely. He really is. His lovely wife was there at that particular event. His team was also super complimentary. I know his father had passed like a couple days before that event, and he was just very personable, very kind, very respectful, super nice, very funny. I really have just nothing but positive things to say about the guy. Like absolute professional. And I never hung out with like an A-list celebrity like that before. So like the way people started behaving when they were around him, I found to be extremely jarring and kind of scary. He was very like, listen, it's okay. It's fine. It's good. I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's good. Like I never had that experience before. So he was one. I really have nothing but great things to say. I hope to meet him again someday.
That's funny, because when I was watching it, I was like, how is she keeping a straight face? He was like, hey man, I just said you did some good work and you didn't even say nothing back. I was like, he was like, you just not gonna say nothing? You just go, okay, all right, let's go.
You gotta remember up there, we're not reading off a prompter, but there's just a lot. There was just a lot happening. They have a person in your ear that kind of makes sure things go the way they want. They've got
stay on track, and
they sometimes they'll change the prompter. There's the audience, there's him, there's the speakers. There's just a lot happening that I kind of have to track while I'm up there. So yeah, he was very funny, but like I had a lot on my mind.
Yeah. So he doesn't have an earpiece. You're the only one with the earpiece.
He had an earpiece, but I mean,
It's
they
Kevin
didn't have
Hart.
to,
Yeah.
I mean, they hired him to do this thing, so
Yeah. Okay. Bria, thank you so much. We are rolling and I want to respect your time. I just have a few more questions. So
Yeah.
let's talk about what you recently launched. It's bookable office hours for mentoring and career coaching. What inspired that move for you?
For me, it's because so many people kept asking me for advice, help, career coaching, and just people literally, and whether they know me from the internet, whether they are friends with my mom, like every avenue of my life, people kept asking for my time. And I felt bad that I could not get to everyone because so many people were asking for my time. So, and also sometimes people would ask for my time and I show up and they weren't available or we had to kick it down the road or whatever. So I just wanted a structured way to be able to have people access me because I want to be accessible to others. Again, back to like how much it would have meant to me to have someone like me accessible for whatever reason. Like I wanted to be able to be that person for others. So bookable office
Yeah.
hours. I cannot always say I am always available, especially I travel a lot. So,
Yeah.
but when I'm available, I do try to honor the office hours for people who want to have them.
So what do you hope people walk away from? What do you hope people walk away with after having a session with you?
I think if anyone wants to learn from my journey or whatever, I just hope that whatever I have to share is helpful. Like so many people have come asking to like talk to me, give me idea, give me advice. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what you will necessarily get from hanging out with me, but I hope that whatever it is feels good. But I try my best. I look through people's resumes, I look through people's LinkedIn's, I provide different advice about career interviewing or whatever. And I just do my best to share the lessons of my career with anyone that's interested to an extent, because sometimes I'm so booked, like
Right.
hard.
Right.
Yeah. If I had to say what I hope people walk away from, I just hope they get what they're looking for from me. And I hope I have it if you think I might.
Okay, good. So now I'm curious now. In this creative community that you literally work in and you live and breathe it, who are some of the people that inspire you the most?
Oh my God. So many people at Adobe too. Like I really work alongside the most empathetic, kind, like fun, funny, smart, like really it's the people I work with at Adobe in design. Like truly, I really feel so lucky to be there. I work around really smart people and it makes me feel
That's
like I
dope.
want to try and be smarter too. So that's one. Then there's like just other people that are able to kind of maintain their composure and maintain like who they are despite all the nonsense. My mother is one of those people.
Yeah.
Like outside of just being obviously my mother, like what she's been able to accomplish in her career. And again, I have an aunt in my life who passed away from breast cancer in 2015. Her name's Dr. Bria Alexander, and she and I were very, very close before she passed. And again, the way she lived her life and the lessons that she instilled in me growing up, like it's why I am who I am because of the people that have invested in me, the ways that they have and the ways that they pursued their interest and did it uncompromisingly. And that is a huge part of who I am now and why I continue to be well to this day. So I'm grateful for the community that's poured into me and for the people I'm lucky to work alongside.
That's amazing. How do you think people can build? That sounds like a very healthy community. How do you think people can build a healthy community to uplift and sometimes hold them accountable? How do you think people could do that?
It goes back to what I said earlier about just putting yourself out there and hoping for the best. And also think back to why I move my life through my life with such gratitude. Like it did not have to happen this way. And yet it did. It's like sometimes the universe honors your good intentions. So you try, you go to the swap meet, you join the sorority, you push yourself and you try. And it does not happen all at once. It did not happen all at once for me. But one day you look behind you and you're like, wait a minute. Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's here. This is not what I thought it would feel like or what it'd be.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
So, looking ahead, what's your vision for the future of program management and like with inclusive design or even creative leadership in tech?
I guess my vision or my hope, I don't know what the future holds. I just can only hope that it includes just more practitioners in the industry, more perspectives reflected in the industry, more people excited and encouraged and engaged. Because as I said, I did not know this job existed when I was in school. If I had, I probably would have like beelined straight toward it because it suits me so well. But instead I took my journey. I had ways and means. My hope is that more people know that this is a real job that pays real money, that you can make a real career in, And it's very fulfilling for me, the person that is kind of like, I like details and stuff, but I'm also like deeply creative. And this job has really met me where I'm at. And I hope for more people to find a match in that way in the way that I have these days.
Yeah. So a few more questions. For the folks listening who have non-traditional backgrounds, what would you say to them if they were trying to break into the creative tech space like you did?
I would say very similar things that I've said in the past, which is keep going, keep trying. Don't even like, for me, a lot of people ask me like, do I have to have a certification or whatever? And that is up to you. You get to decide whether or not you need a certification, but above all, just apply to the job. Like, even if you don't get it the first round, oftentimes these interviewers will consider you or remember you throughout different other positions they may have open, and just apply to the job. Make sure, read the requisition, make sure you have everything that they're asking for. And even if it's not the way that they're asking for it, still apply to the job and just bring yourself to the table, bring your absolute best that you can be to the table. And again, you'll be surprised how the world, the universe, the hiring panel at times honors intention.
And last question, what's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self or someone starting out today?
Oh my God. First of all, if I had to do it to myself, I'd start with calm down. Like, it's going to be okay. I was so like, I need a job. Like, you're going to get a job. I promise you, younger Bria, you're going to get a job. It's going to be great. And you're going to make it work for you. And it's not going to be easy or linear, but you will figure it out and you're going to be okay. Promise. Like, that's the advice I give to myself. I can say that because I'm on the other side
of it. Yeah.
But like, it's going to be okay. I know it doesn't feel like it, but like, you got to keep going, fight back, be who you always knew you wanted to be, honor that, know that even though life is different, you're not that different. That's also what I would say. I've been pretty much the same person my whole life. I just didn't know how to package it for the world to understand it. So now I have. So keep going, keep working towards that.
Yep. Keep striving for the goal. You never know. It's almost like the analogy of you keep digging and it's like you stop right before you hit that pot of gold where it's like right there. But if you let everything else kind of deter you or get in your way or stop you, you kind of miss that little bit that would have just like set you straight, put you on that nice path.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a journey like that. What's that book called? The Alchemist, right? Like that.
Yeah. 100%. Well, Bria, thank you so much for sharing your, just gems of wisdom and warmth and perspective. Where can the people find you? And if you have anything else coming up next for you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Bria Alexander, first name, last name. You can find me on Instagram at Bria is my name. You can find me on TikTok, same thing. You can also find me, I have a wine and spirits business if anyone's interested. I do content for that. It's called Somaliade, Someliaide, Somaliade. And I do a YouTube thing for that. That goes out usually once a week or so. And I also have a YouTube blog for all my various travels. If you're interested, I'm finishing up my Brazil blog right now. I just got back from Brazil a couple weeks ago and it was incredible. But yeah, you can find me all sorts of places. But as far as speaking engagements coming up next week, I'm hosting Adobe's Design Summit, which I don't know is externally facing, but you'll probably see pictures from it on one of my socials. So that's next week. And yeah, I'm also the lead curator for the Design Operations Summit from Rosenfeld Media. So yeah, there's a couple places. You can also my office hours if you want. Off on my LinkedIn, there's a book appointment button there. And you can also reach out to me via email, which is on my LinkedIn description thing. Those are some ways.
Yeah, she's everywhere. If you can't find her, you're not looking hard enough. She's out there, you guys. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. My name is Justin Robinson. I had the talented, the creative tech guru, Bria Alexander, and this is the Art School Graduate Podcast. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Bye. This is how the kids are doing it now, right? Not like
yeah, the heart. There it is.
Nice to meet everyone.